There is no way this is how I'm about to die. Like,
so don't give away my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away. In another woman that can take your spot, my love.
Persian rose, but she's from Nicaragua. Thought you was Persian love. Are we turning up? Or are we wasting time? Girl, don't waste my time. You know I'm party. I don't just wanna chill with you. Oh no, I wanna turn up.
trying to finish his bottles while he naps. For some reason he hasn't been taking naps as long as he usually does. He's been waking up, like the longest nap he's taken in the past couple days has been like an hour and a half. But today's video is going to be a story time, my labor and delivery story time. It's a very crazy story, y'all. So I'm gonna be all around the house today, still telling the story, but it's a long one, so you might want to grab a snack, grab your dinner or something and follow along. He might make a special guest appearance if I feel up to it, don't know, but y'all will see pictures and maybe some videos from that time. It was 2.5 months ago, so just stay tuned, y'all, till the end and hear this insane labor and delivery story, okay? Good morning. So now I'm just drying the bottles before I put milk in them. But a little backstory before I get into the real one. All my prenatal care was done in the city I lived in at the time, which was where I was living at on my own. I had my own place, but my lease was up in February, so we moved out in February and I moved back home with my mom at that point, and that's where I've been since. It's where my boo came home to. I did not deliver at the hospital that was associated with my prenatal care. I will find out why in a minute, but I ended up delivering at a hospital my godmother works at as a labor and delivery nurse. I just felt like I wanted to be with someone that knew me, loved me, cared about me, and had my best interests at heart. I didn't feel like the medical professionals in the city I lived in did that. But unfortunately, my godmom only was actually on the clock working the day after I delivered my baby. But her presence was there. She was in the room with me the day I went in and the day after. But she just wasn't like my nurse, basically. And also my baby was big. He was big throughout the whole time I was pregnant with him. So let's get on into it. I will start at maybe I was 34 weeks probably, or 35, something around there. My baby was 7 pounds and 8 ounces. And the lady that did my ultrasound, who was not my doctor, told me, she was like, I would be surprised if she doesn't induce you early because of his size, right? So I was happy because, like she said, he was big. Like, my pregnancy by the 3rd trimester was really, really hard because he was so heavy. So we were thinking my next doctor's appointment, she was gonna be like, yeah, let's go ahead and induce you or whatever. No, my next appointment, she was like, he's technically still a normal size for his age and at this point, so we're not gonna induce you until we can, which is like probably 2 weeks after that. So I was really upset, and I feel like she failed me because 7 pounds 8 ounces at that point in my pregnancy, and you know he's about to be gaining a ½ a pound each week from that point on. That's dangerous, but you know what? Whatever. So I said, okay. So my next doctor's appointment, it was lasted 5 minutes. How are you doing? Great, still pregnant. See you next week. So at the next appointment, the doctor was like, okay, we can now discuss induction. So I said, thank God, I'm ready. Earliest appointment, give it to me. I could have went in the next day, but I just wanted to prepare my boyfriend. Obviously he could have came, but I just wanted to prepare him, let him get some time to get himself together. So we chose the next day, the next availability, which was Thursday at 5 p.m. is when I was scheduled to be induced. But they said, of course, if he comes earlier than that, just go ahead, go to the hospital. So he ended up coming earlier than that. Well, I went into labor earlier than that. See, on the 16th of April, 5 a.m., I started feeling contractions. Now, I only knew what they felt like because a couple weeks prior, I had a Braxton Hicks contraction. So by the time a real one came, I was like, okay, that's a real contraction, right? But I didn't start timing them for like a whole hour after that because I just wanted to make sure that that's what I was feeling. Started tracking them around 6:30, and they were like 7 minutes apart at that time, but they weren't consistently 7 minutes apart. Like it would be 7 minutes, then it would be 8, and then 15, and then I remember going a whole hour without feeling one. So that day, the closest they ended up being was like 4 minutes. We were actually, me and my boyfriend were actually at the dispensary getting him some stuff. I did not smoke my whole pregnancy, but I was just riding with him, and I felt like a really intense one sitting in the car. So I told my mom, I'm like, yeah, we probably should go ahead and go to the hospital. We ended up going, and this was at nighttime. It was like around 6-7 o'clock maybe. It was hospital that I was supposed to be induced at. We ended up going there and told them I was contracting. They asked how far apart they were, So the doctor comes in, she checked me and told me I was only 2 centimeters dilated. So she was like, but I'll give you like an hour and I'll come back and check on you or whatever. Mind y'all, she didn't tell me to walk around. She didn't tell me to do anything to bring about opening up a little more, basically, which later on I heard that she should have done that, but she didn't. She put on a literal timer on her phone or her watch or whatever, came back literally 1 hour later and checked me again. I was like 2.5 or something like that maybe, and she was like, unfortunately you're not open enough for us to admit you, so just go ahead and go home and come back when they're like 2 minutes apart. So y'all, that night I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Like, I was literally having contractions that were getting more and more intense, and they were still like 4 minutes, they were becoming 3 minutes apart. So I didn't sleep that entire night. So the only reason that I was getting through them contractions, I had this little Spider-Man plush toy from Dollar General that my mom bought for my nephew to put in his little Easter basket, because I told her, I was like, I need something to just like, you know what I'm saying, help me through the pain. And she just grabbed that, and y'all, that little Spider-Man toy got me through so much. Like, pain wise, my pain tolerance is extremely high, but after delivering my baby, I realized that it's like scary high. I should probably be checked, but that little toy got me through. I just view pain like it's just temporary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally speak to myself in my head and tell myself, this is temporary, it's not gonna last. This is gonna pass in a couple seconds. So that's just how I get through it. And then plus that toy I was squeezing the life out of it. Y'all should have seen how that toy looked by the time we were done in there. But I ended up losing it somehow in the hospital, and I was so upset. But anyway, so she sent me home. I was contracting all night. So we get up next morning and my mucus plug passed through. I went to the bathroom and my mucus plug was in there, but to be totally transparent, we had been slacking on cleaning our bathroom around that time because it's so close, you know what I'm saying? We were just focusing on getting me to the hospital. So I thought it was just like something floating around the toilet from it not being clean. So I ended up telling my mom, like, was this like my mucus plug or is the toilet just dirty? Y'all, this lady grabbed a plastic spoon out the kitchen and went in the toilet and dug it out and was like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the mucus plug. You're officially in labor right now. So I'm like, oh my God, like my baby is coming. So the contractions obviously were picking up. I was still tracking them and they ended up becoming 2 minutes apart. So we went to the hospital. So we got checked into a room. In our little suite, and I still wasn't far along enough for them to admit me, but my godmom fought for me. When the nurse was checking me, she actually did a little more than she was supposed to, and it opened me up a little more to the point where they could let me stay. That happened. It was very intense what she did, and it hurt me, but it allowed me to be admitted, so I'm not mad at her for that. When I tell y'all, I was eating them contractions up like a steak dinner. I was having intense contractions the whole time. I wasn't crying. I was just, taking my time, breathing through them or whatever, because I was very adamant about not getting an epidural. Did it work out that way? No, it did not. But back to the story. My baby wanted to stay up there. He probably would still be there in my tummy if he could right now. But so nothing ended up happening. Still dealing with contractions. I was able to take them though. So they kept asking me, did you want medication, help you through it? I said no, and no epidural at this point. We were still just sitting, waiting for me to open up. I was getting checked constantly and he just was not coming down. So later in the day on the 17th, they were like putting me in different positions, having me lay on my side, having me lay like straight up in the hospital bed, just hoping he would come down on his own. And he was not budging, y'all. Like, he just did not want to come out. So I had been at I was at like 5 centimeters on the night of the 17th. My contractions were getting like really bad, but I was still like just taking them. And I could have kept going, but I knew for my body, it wouldn't have been safe because my blood pressure was rising a little bit, and she said it was because I was just going through pain and I wasn't taking no medication for it. So she asked me, did I want to take the medication? So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And I was skeptical because she told me that it would make my baby high. So I waited to the absolute last minute to do that, and she was like, which would be 6 centimeters. So I was at 5.5 and I was like, go ahead and do it. Did that. It helped. It definitely did. I was still contracting quite a bit, but the pain subsided a lot after the medication. After that, the medication wore off. I was offered the epidural. And I was like, no. So she was like, okay. So she started, putting me in different positions again, trying to get him to come out naturally, but he wouldn't. So she came back again and asked me, are you sure you don't want the epidural? I was like, no. We were still sitting here trying to get him to come out. I am literally at this point exhausted, tired. My mom actually was like, just go ahead and get the epidural. Like, we know you're doing a great job taking these contractions, but I think it's best for you and Legend to just go ahead and get the epidural, and it might do something for your pain because you're taking them well, but we know it's hurting you. So she is the sole reason that I got the epidural. And the reason I was so against an epidural, y'all, is because I've heard so many horror stories about epidurals and the effects that it gives women years after birth. I don't even like taking ibuprofen unless I actually absolutely have to. Like, I'm just that type of person. I don't like a lot of medicine. That's just how I am. I say all that to say everything that I was afraid of with the epidural happened. So I went on ahead and told the nurse, called her back in. I was like, I changed my mind. I want to go ahead and get the epidural. So she was like, okay, but I have to let you know that the anesthesiologist was already on his way to another case, like, so probably to another patient about to go do something as to where he needed to be there. So she was like, I'm gonna try my best to get him to come back up here, but I can't promise nothing. So we were hoping he was able to come back up there, and he did, y'all. But he was really frustrated because he said he was already en route to go do something else, and now he had to tell this person, hold on, I got to go do an epidural, you know, which is understandable, but at the same time, this is your job. So he was frustrated, y'all, and I could tell the way he was talking to me, the way he handled me, the way he was talking to the nurse in the room. I could literally tell he was frustrated and irritated that he had to come back. I feel like they failed me, and he did not handle that correctly. So in the room with me was my mom, my man, and my sister. So they told them, you know, y'all have to leave the room while we do the epidural. He was giving me all the details about the epidural, what was about to happen, and possible side effects, and, you know, yada yada yada, right? So I'm like, okay. So he was like, I'm gonna stick the needle in you, and you tell me, you know what I'm saying, whether you feel numb on the left or the right or the middle. Come to find out later, he put it up way too high. Now, do I know that? No, because it's my first baby. I don't know where the needle was supposed to go at, but come to find out it was way too damn high. So he poked me, and I don't know if you're supposed to get multiple pokes either, but I was poked 3 times. Mind y'all, when he was telling me stuff, talking to me, he was just short with me. He had an attitude and all that, right? So when he was done, I was facing this way. The bed is this way, and I'm facing this way. So they're like, we're gonna turn you back around to lay in the bed perfectly. Y'all, I tipped over because I couldn't feel nothing. I could not move by myself. So the nurse was like, whoa, 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 like, what is happening or whatever. I don't know, ma'am. I tried to move like you told me, but couldn't. So a couple minutes later, they let my people back in the room. Y'all, I start feeling like numb everywhere. Like, I could not move my arms. I couldn't move like my torso, my shoulders, and my throat was numb. And I knew something was wrong because they told me I should only be numb from the waist down, right? But I was numb from the neck down. And I tried to tell them, I'm like, I cannot move my arms. I cannot move my chest, and my throat is swollen. Like, I literally can't swallow. These people were telling me I was having a panic attack, and that's what was happening to me. Never did they think that he screwed up, which he did, but they were blaming my anxiety on why I was feeling like that. So I kept trying to tell them, I am not having a panic attack. I am not having an anxiety attack. He did this wrong. I'm supposed to be numb from the waist down, correct? I can't move nothing from my neck down. At this point, everyone is just standing around looking at me because they don't know what the to do or what to say or anything. And meanwhile, my spit has nowhere to go, y'all, because I can't swallow. So I'm breathing, can't swallow. My spit has nowhere to go. I'm just drooling. And also, I was shaking. The nurse said it was an effect of the epidural. So I'm shaking and drooling, can't breathe. I kept telling her, like, I cannot swallow. Something is wrong. So they ended up cutting the medicine off or turning it down or something, or turning the dose down. Minutes later, I was able to swallow and move my arms and stuff. I am looking a mess and currently editing, but I forgot to mention that at this point, they called the anesthesiologist back in the room to check on me and like make sure I was okay, which I wasn't. Y'all, why this man literally stepped in the doorway of my suite, did not come near me, didn't ask me nothing, didn't check on me, nothing. Stepped in the doorway of the room, looked, and was like, everything seems to be fine, and walked out the room. Y'all, I was heated. I literally told my boyfriend, do not let that step back in this room or I'm gonna go off. You screwed me up, almost could have paralyzed me. We don't know if they didn't figure out what was wrong. Could have paralyzed me completely. And you got some nerve. They tell you to come check on me, and all you do is literally pop your head in the room and just say everything is fine. You don't even know what's going on, and it's all your fault. I could have literally smacked him across his face. I was so pissed. He failed me so bad. Yeah, so back to the video. That was not supposed to happen. Every epidural story I've heard, I've never heard of nobody being numb from the neck down. that was the first big scary thing that happened. But after that point, it did what it was supposed to do. I was numb properly from the waist down. From that point on, I couldn't feel nothing, no contractions, couldn't feel my legs, nothing. For the next few hours, they were still checking me constantly, and I still wasn't dilating. My mama was up the whole entire time. I think my sister probably got 2 hours of sleep. My man barely slept either. My mama was up the entire time watching me. She was like, you try to get some rest now that you're, you know what I'm saying, can't feel them contractions. You get some rest. I will stay up and watch you, and I will stay and watch the baby's heartbeat. So I was able to get some rest a little bit. She didn't get any rest at all. Now we're to the 18th, the day my baby was born. So in the morning, I woke up. I was at about 7 maybe in the morning. Mind y'all, I'm gonna cut back to the beginning real quick. When I first got to the hospital, they did not do an ultrasound on me. If they did, they would have known how big my baby was and probably could have done something different, but they didn't do that. They just requested my medical records and saw when I was going to the doctor. They saw her notes that she was putting on every appointment. But they didn't see for themselves how big my baby was. At this point, I'm pretty sure all the nurses and the doctor were assuming he was the average size child, and he was not. So I was constantly getting checked, and he was coming down. He was coming down super slow. Mind y'all, this is 2 days after I was first contracting. So I was exhausted. I couldn't eat anything at this point. Couldn't do anything but eat ice chips. I was starving. I was thirsty. I was just like over it at that point. So I was just in tears. So they were putting me all in different positions. He still wouldn't come. At this point, the doctor came in. He checked me. I was 9 centimeters, right? Finally. So he was like, try to push. But y'all, I couldn't feel anything from the waist down for the epidural. I couldn't feel nothing. So I'm like, I can't push. Like, I can't feel my body or my muscles enough to even push. So he was like, okay, so let's give it an hour and see where you're at. And depending on where you're at in an hour, probably have to go for an emergency C-section. So I said, okay. An hour later, y'all, he came back in and checked me. I was at 8 centimeters. So my baby was going back up. So he was like, he originally said, okay, let's try 1 more hour and see what he does. And if not, we'll go for the C-section. I was like, you know what? Let's go right now for the C-section because I'm exhausted. Like, he's trying to go back up and I don't want to risk him going up even higher in an hour. I'm like, let's just go for the C-section now. So he was like, it's totally up to you. Yes, ma'am, we will get you right up, ready and prepped for your C-section. Y'all, I was crying at that point because like I just did all this work, went through all this just to get a C-section anyway. And I feel like if they would have done that ultrasound when I first got to the hospital and saw how big my baby was, they would have told me to go for a C-section anyway because that would have been the safer option. So again, that is the second way I feel like they failed me. So I'm going for a C-section, I'm crying, but my man is telling me like, our baby is on his way. It does not matter. You will be fine. I'm right here with you and everything is going to be okay. Like, you've been killing this entire experience. Like, a C-section ain't nothing compared to what you've been doing. So I'm like, you know what? You're right. They told me one person come in there with me. I chose my baby, my man, to come in there with me. At that point, I was like, can I please like get some water? She was like, no, you still can't because C-section is considered major surgery and you're not supposed to have nothing to eat or drink before major surgery. So I was literally like grabbing my mama by her collar, like, please get me some water. Okay, so I'm at the point in the story where I grabbed you by your collar and begged you for a drink of water. So I yoked her up and asked, could she please get me some water? And she's like, I'm sorry, you can't. Like, you can't. So I just got more ice chips and I was sucking the life out of ice chips, trying to get water. Oh yeah, then they went in to prep me for my C-section. They had to, wash my skin off and all that. They had to shave me, y'all, because moment of transparency. I did not keep up well with shaving down there for like the last 3 weeks of my pregnancy. Well, my whole pregnancy. But before we left for the hospital, my sister and my mother actually laid me down in the bed and trimmed me up the best they could, their own, with some clippers. But I don't think they did good enough because they went in and they spent some time trimming me down again. So that happened. Went in, they put my boyfriend in a separate room for like 10-15 minutes for some odd reason, I don't know why. Then they put me in the room and moved me over to a different bed. Mind y'all, I was about 140 before I was pregnant, and by the time I was on that table for a C-section, I was 206. So there was quite a few doctors working together to move me. So then they were just telling me what to expect in the next hour, what were they gonna do, all that. I was in the operating room to get my C-section, and they, what is it called that they gave me?
A bolus.
So that's what they gave me, and literally 5 minutes later, I started getting like short of breath. I told the doctor, I'm like, I can't breathe. So he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I can't breathe. He was like, well, describe it. And at that point, all I could tell him was short. Like, that's all that could come out my mouth. This whole time, they're still prepping me and getting me ready, and I'm just laying there and I can't breathe. Supposedly, they do the cut, and I jumped, but little do they know, I jumped because I was shaking already because I was freezing cold, and the nurse told me I was shaking from the medication too. But I was also shaking because I was very, very short of breath, so I was like on the table like this at that point. Like that. That's the only way I could breathe. So that's why I jumped, but he thought that I jumped because I felt them cut me. So they didn't up the dose again unnecessarily and numbed my diaphragm. So I was on the table literally like like that. But they kept blaming it on my anxiety and a panic attack, which was really pissing me off because it wasn't even an anxiety attack last time, and y'all screwed up last time. So y'all are putting me through this yet again, and y'all are the ones that messed up. He asked me, could I squeeze his hand, right? And at this point, I can't respond. I can't talk. All I can do is communicate with my eyes, my head, and like my hands. So he was like, squeeze my hand. If you can squeeze my hand, you can breathe. How that makes sense, I don't know, but I squeezed his hand. So he was like, so you're able to breathe, it's just you're short of breath. So he was like, I'm gonna put some oxygen on you. He puts the oxygen on me, and y'all, it was barely helping because I couldn't barely like breathe in the oxygen. Like, I could literally feel myself like trying so hard to suck the air because it just wasn't even getting in my system. To make matters worse, he kept removing the oxygen off of me. Why he kept doing that, I don't know. So every time he moved it, I could not speak to tell him put it back or oxygen. I couldn't even say it. I was literally having to mouth the words. I was like, my man was in the room with me talking to me in my ear. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't respond to him. And he was like, is she all right? Like, something ain't right, because I know my woman, I know she would respond to me, so something's going on. The doctor told him she's alert. Well, obviously, I'm not dead, but I can't talk, which is an issue. So that's what he told my boyfriend. She's alert, she can hear you, but I couldn't respond to him. Y'all, I ended up passing out on that table during the C-section. How long it was, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter if I passed out for 10 seconds or 2 minutes. I should not have passed out getting a C-section. That should not have happened at all. So I hear my boyfriend in my ear talking to me. I can't respond to him. And then next thing I know, I hear my baby crying. Like, I hear crying, and my boyfriend was super excited. He's like, oh my God, baby, he's here. Oh my God, y'all, I could not even enjoy that moment because I literally was about to die. Like, I'm thinking in my head, literally, ain't no way this how I'm about to go out. There is no way this is how I'm about to die. Like, giving birth to my baby. That's how serious it was. I literally thought I was dying. Stitched me back up. My boyfriend leaves to go to the nursery, and I was able to gain my breath back slowly. And next thing I know, I'm in the room, and my mom able to come back there with me. They put the oxygen, like a little smaller one that stays in your nose. I had one of those on me, and I saw my mama. The first thing I asked her was like, where's my baby? Did you see my baby? How is he?
Boy. Hi, Granny's baby. Legend. Hi, Granny's baby. Hi. Hi.
It's fine. I'll just, I can grab a chair.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Legend. What?
Oh, it's right here.
What? Say, I know that voice.
Let's
Say, I know that voice. That's my granny. That's my granny.
That really doesn't
Yeah. That's my granny.
Oh,
Hi, sweet boy.
it's alright.
Hi, sweet boy.
And she was showing me pictures they took, y'all, and I got so emotional because I was so upset. Like I could barely even hear him when he first started crying. I couldn't see him, couldn't touch him, hold him, kiss him, nothing. And mind y'all, soon as he came out, he went to the NICU because his blood sugar was high, and that usually happens with big babies. My baby was 9 pounds and 5 ounces when he was born, and they said that usually big babies have high blood sugar, either high or low, one of them. I don't remember. I think it was high though. That is labor and delivery story. I saw my baby for the first time I delivered him at 4. I had to stay in recovery for 2 hours. So around 7 o'clock, I was able to go down there with my boyfriend and we were able to see him. I'm gonna insert that video actually.
Over here?
I'm recording.
Hi, my love.
So if you want to get your face in there, we can snap a.
Hi, baby. It's your mommy. Hi. Hi, baby. How you doing? Yes, just mommy. Hi. Hi, my baby. Hey, Legend. Hey, Legend. How you doing?
Yeah, IT.
Hi, baby.
IT, what they need to RR.
Yeah, so that was it, y'all. Terrible labor and delivery, very scary. Everything I thought or was afraid of going wrong went wrong, and I was in labor for about 52 hours. Not active labor, obviously, but from the time I started contracting to the time I went to C-section was 52 hours. But I would do it all over again for my baby. If someone were to say today, your son is sick, and in order to save him, you have to go through that labor and delivery again, just like that, come on now. I would do it, no hesitation. So my book. Hope y'all enjoy. I'm pretty sure that was a super long story, but I wanted that to be my first video back for sure. I will try to get back to filming consistently, but comment if you want, like if you liked it. Definitely subscribe though, and I will see y'all in the next one.
Funny to give up my baby. Funny to